What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new video. This will be the updated settings video for controller. As you may know, with the update, a bunch of stuff has changed. Aim assist settings, input might feel different. So I changed a bunch of settings for this one. If you want to follow along, I'll be going through every single setting step by step. You can also quickly skip through this video using the timestamps in the description. What I can suggest, especially if you're new to Battlefield, copy my settings, but tweak stuff like sensitivity and maybe the field of view. Those two I can definitely recommend changing up a little bit. All the other settings are really built for long-term muscle memory. So what happens is when you copy my settings, it might feel a little bit weird in the beginning, but trust me, for the long run it's gonna make the game feel a lot better. It really allows you to build muscle memory. The settings are built for consistency. The game doesn't carry you too hard, which is all really good for building muscle memory in the long run. So we got that out of the way. Don't want to make the video too long, so let's get right into it. Starting here with accessibility, you can see, by the way, if I have something left on default or not. It's a little dot you can see. So menu narration, I've changed that to off, which is not the default, and subtitle settings, I haven't changed anything, so there's no little dot on the left side, as you can see. So these are all volume changes, not super important to copy, to be honest. Color profiles. Here you can change stuff to custom if you want to. I have a little bit of color blindness with red and green, so what I had to change is the squad color, which was a green color, I believe, and I changed that to this blue color. Then I made the enemy color a little bit more red instead of orange, what I believe the default is, and the friendly color is a little bit light blue. Then the brightness, I recommend using a lower brightness than what you used to do in different battlefields. So I use 60 on most battlefields, I have it on 55, makes the visibility actually a little bit better. Camera effects, weapon motion blur, I put that to 0. Weapon motion blur is to 0, all this stuff is as low as possible. If you like to be more immersed into this game, you can enable some of these settings, but for better performance, I would recommend turning these all off. And hold toggle, there's one setting I changed, the rest is all on default. The interact and reload, what you can do is tap for reload, and interact you need to hold square. For example, getting into a vehicle or opening a door, you need to hold the button. For reloading, you can just quickly tap it, so those two don't interfere. Then controller vibration, I have this turned off. All these settings I left on default. I used the DualSense Edge and I left those settings on default as well. A lot of people ask me for the DualSense Edge. Left them all on default, didn't really bother changing them at all. These are not really super important. You can leave these hints on if you want to learn the game a little bit better, but eventually the hints might get in the way. What I like to do is action prompts hints, which I think for RedSec, for example, if you get close to an enemy and you have this on, it will let you know if you can do a takedown or not. So this is a good RedSec setting. Going into the gameplay settings. Invert all vertical look, I have that off. Vertical look settings, which is basically the same thing, I have it off. This is all for if you want to have inverted look for stuff like the jets, which I actually like, and it's on by default. Hold toggle, we already went over that. Ping hints, I left this off. We're going through more sensitivity stuff later on, but here's a 90% aim sensitivity. This is just your hip fire sensitivity when you're looking around. Left these all on default. Interact reload, already went over that. Vehicle aim sensitivity also on 90. Aircraft control sensitivity and helicopter control sensitivity, I tried to put them pretty high. You're basically limited to the speed a vehicle can turn anyway, so if that can happen a little bit faster or at the max speed, you can possibly do it. I do recommend using that. Helicopter control assist, you can leave this on if you're new to Battlefield, but I think if you want to actually learn how to use choppers better, it's probably better to leave this off, but it's gonna make it a bit harder. Now, big changes here, or actually not too many changes here. I switched a lot of this stuff to the default setting, funny enough. I had a lot of things change here, but I actually have input curve now to standard instead of what I used to have on 2042 and Battle 5. I feel like the standard is a very good curve for consistent aiming. As you can see, the curve is quite consistently going up. It's a pretty smooth curve, while the other ones kind of have a more abrupt curve. If you can see that, it happens a little bit faster at a certain point. So I put these back to standard. Actually feels amazing. Aim assist setting, you can put this back to 100. Aim assist is definitely tuned down quite a bit. But at these settings, you can get some more consistent aim. For my zoom, I still left this on the Battlefield 5 because I'm so used to the Battlefield 5. If you're coming from older Battlefields, definitely change them to the Battlefield you're used to. What I could recommend if you're new to Battlefield completely, put this one on standard as well. The standard is just quite good. But personally, I'm just so used to Battlefield 5 that I left it on Battlefield 5. Now we're at the HUD settings. Didn't change anything here. Advanced HUD icons. I didn't change much here except I think for one thing. These are all left on default. You can change a bunch of your HUD stuff here, by the way. Squad and nearby kill log. Very important to keep this on squad and nearby. It's the most useful information you can get. I put the big minimap opacity on 85. That's the only thing I changed here. Minimap size, I changed this to medium. I'm kind of considering going large, which I probably should try out, but I left this on mini. I think small is definitely a little bit too small. Minimap background opacity, I put that to 100 because when I'm looking at the minimap, I only want to see what's happening on the minimap and don't get distracted by anything else. Here I left most of the stuff on default. If a PC player somehow is watching this, you can here change your crosshair thickness. I left mine on default. I think the crosshair thickness on console and PC for some reason is different, and I don't know why. But even if you put this on thin, it's not going to be as thin as the console crosshair, I believe, which is a bit weird. And these are all left on default. Campaign stuff. We already went over this. Here you can change your difficulty for the campaign. I think you can do this mid-mission as well, but not super important. Now we're going into the big settings. So controller setting. So here we go into the full aim sensitivity settings right here. So my aim sensitivity is 90. I maxed out my field of view on 120. Then my zoom sensitivity coefficient is on 133. So you definitely want to be having uniform infantry aiming on. And then I put this on 133, which is good if you're coming from 2042 and Battlefield 5, because I think that was the default coefficient. Actually, on 2042, it might have been 178, which I believe is the default in this game as well. Now, aim acceleration, definitely put that on a 0. It might feel like your sensitivity is going to be 3-4 times as fast as it was before, but this is really, really good for learning muscle memory. So would definitely recommend doing that. Then I have my zoom on L1. We're going into the full button layout. Here's my zoom aim sensitivity. This is a percentage of your soldier aim sensitivity. So I have 60%, which basically means my zoom sensitivity is 60% of 90, if that makes sense. So let's say I put this, my infantry aim sensitivity at 100, and I put this at 100 as well. It's going to feel like it's the exact same sensitivity and nothing has changed. So let's say you put this on 100 and you put this one on 50. When you're zooming in, it feels like you use the exact same sensitivity. So this is a percentage of what your soldier aim sensitivity is. I didn't change anything else. Infantry buttons, so I put this on custom, and then here you can go to your controller mapping. Now I left a lot of stuff on default. Good to know. I used the DualSense Edge. I used the left bottom trigger for jumping, so I have that bind to X, and then I have the other one bind to spotting, the right one, the right back button. And now I changed this to L2 and R2. These are by default L1 and R1. I like to shoot with the top buttons instead of the bottom ones, because I feel like the top ones respond much faster. Then here I have crouch, press, and prone hold to R3, basically allowing me to crouch and still aiming at the same time. I don't need to put this to one of my back buttons, which is great. And then fire and zoom, of course, is switched to the top ones. And then you have to switch knifing to circle. The rest is all left on default, I am pretty sure. And then here we have steady scope, which is on L3, which actually I'm going to change right now. I forgot to do this one. But you can put this toggle scope, steady scope. Wait, hold up. We're going to change this on the video. We can hold this to L3, and then we can put this on L1. So steady scope basically is when I'm going to be zoomed in. I completely forgot to change this setting. A little bit unprofessional, but it's good that we're going through everything now. When I scope in, my scope is going to be steady right away. which is at what I had before. Unfortunately, they set all the button layout right there, but it's actually what I recommend using. The ground vehicle, transport vehicle, aircraft, and helicopter controls, I'm going quickly through them, but you'll basically see the same every time. So I'm just going to show them. Definitely recommend putting the vehicle field of view all the way up. So I'm just going to quickly show them. You can see basically the same stuff for everything here. So we got that. Then we're going to aircraft setting. Also the same basically here. You see vehicle aim sensitivity 90. And then for some you can change the zoom and for some you can't. And then for helicopter, just going quickly through them. You can see a bunch of this stuff has changed from what I used on default. Again, the vehicle field of view, definitely maxed it out. You want to see as much as possible around you when you're using the third person, a gunner as well. So it's all not super interesting. The controller mapping will bring you to the controls that I already showed. So we have, this is also button layout. Not interesting settings. There's so many things you can change here. Now dead zones. My left stick is on a 13 and 15, and then the right stick I actually put back to the default settings. This is also a setting that I put back to the default ones, which work great. You could put this one even lower if your controller will not start drifting. Important to know. If your controller doesn't start drifting, you can just put that to 0 without a problem. So there you go. We're going to skip the mouse and keyboard because we're on controller, of course. Graphics, I use performance mode. Here's the brightness again, which we already went. Sharpness, I put that on 35. I wouldn't put this too high because the lower you have, it's almost easier to see players. Field of view 120. We already went over this, but we're just having the settings again. The settings are super complicated in Battlefield 6 because there are so many menus where you have the same settings. Audio setting, big one. Music volume, put that to 51. Now here what I used is sound system. I put that to 3D headphones, and then I actually have the audio mix to default mix. I tried to use the high dynamics one, but sometimes it will also blur out footsteps, so putting that to default mix helped a lot actually. 3D headphones default mix so far is the best combo that I've used. And here are some very unimportant settings. System, here you can change crossplay on or off if you want to. This is streamer mode, which I luckily have not had to enable yet, but if you want to play anonymously, here you can change that. Especially if you're a streamer, you're getting stream sniped, you can change the settings here. Minimap settings, I think we already went over that, but we can go over it again. Minimap size, put that to medium. Minimap background opacity to 100, and I left all these on default. So there you go. That is basically all you need to know. So those are the settings. Hopefully this video was useful. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.